I was recently at an event with Orthodox Jewish business owners and leaders up in the tri-state area around New York. And man, I just love that crew so much. We have such a great relationship with that community. I've learned so much from that community. It was so cool. After I finished speaking at this event, a gentleman, I believe his name was David, came up to me and he shook my hand real aggressively. And he said, "That was wonderful." And he was so encouraging. And then he said, "You know, you talk so much about trust and control and growth." And it made me think about when God sent manna to the Israelites in the desert. And I just kind of turned on my radar because I said, man, this guy has got something to say and I feel like I'm about to learn something. And he immediately started asking me a question. He said, "Do you know where they were when God sent the manna?" And thankfully, I knew Exodus enough. I'm certainly not a theologian, but I knew Exodus enough to be like, yeah, he sent it to them in the wilderness, in the desert when they were wandering. And he said, "That's right." And then he said, "And how often did he send it?" And I thought about it for a little bit and I said, well, he sent it every single day except for on the Sabbath day. And again, he patted me on the back. He said, "That's absolutely right." And he said, "Okay, I've got one more question for you." He said, "Why every day? Why not just send like a bulk order on day one that they could rely on for maybe the next 6 days and then send another bulk order? Why every day?" And I thought about it for a second and I said, well, I think it was a lesson. I think God was teaching them the lesson of dependence on Him. And he kind of paused for a second and just kept looking at me, and it was almost as though he expected me to say more, and I didn't have any more to say. I thought I had given him a pretty adequate and sufficient answer. And he then responded and he said, "That's good, Alex." He said, "I think it was about the lesson of dependence," but then he said, I don't think it was just a lesson. I think it was about the blessing of dependence. He said that God was shaping and molding and forming the Israelites in the desert to be a people that realized every single day is a gift from Him, and that every single part of every single day was a gift from Him. He wanted to shape them into a people that realized how much of a blessing it was to have a God that could be fully, totally, and completely depended on. And what he really was summing up in all of that is the principle that I really want us to focus on. Dependence is not just a lesson. It's not just a burden that we have to depend, we have to lean on God. It's not just this lesson that we are called to learn. It's a blessing that we get to receive. Man, have you ever been that leader that you feel like it's all on you, that you feel like you have to control outcomes that you were never meant to control, that you're not just thinking about this day or this week, but you're constantly feeling stress associated with what's going to happen this quarter or this year or over the course of the next 3 years. And you feel like all of that responsibility is on you. Well, in some ways, we don't just need to learn the lesson of dependence in that state and in that situation, but rather we need to receive and experience the blessing of dependence. The thing that I regularly need to remember is I can't control what I can't control. And the other thing I need to remember is that I don't have to. God is omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. He is sovereign and He is in control. He cares about me and He cares about you. And it's in that I get to every single day depend on Him. Dependence is this deep breath. It's this sigh of relief to say, it's not all on me. Praise God. Let's go.